Know what it was. All I knew was for school.
And then when I got here and I was like, holy shit, everybody takes Adderall. Everyone. I take it right when I wake up. It takes about 40 minutes to kick in. And you can feel it. I start to sweat. My heart accelerates.
My handwriting got neater. I thought that was so cool.
My mind came alive. My body felt alive.
It works like a bang.
Adderall, warning. Side effects may include being awesome at everything.
Every generation has found a different way to try to enhance their performance. Now, in this case, it has been ADHD drugs. This ain't new.
It's not like a glass of wine or a joint or any way that people use to decompress. I really see it as a supplement, as a tool.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
So then you're primed that a pill is going to give me what I want.
I felt this like mounting pressure from work to start using my prescription.
That says something about our culture right now.
It makes me kind of depressed.
We probably have meds for that.
Everyone has a little ADD. No, we have distractions, but not everyone has a brain that functions like somebody's with ADHD.
I wouldn't say that I'm happy to have Adderall, but I'm happy that Adderall isn't.
What's the cost of that? And is that a cost we're willing to live with?
It's a good documentary. It's worth watching. But we have an entire generation of kids who are jacked up on this, and they're using it. They're not hooked on it, but they're hooked on the effects of it and use it whenever they need to perform.
I don't know that this is that new.
It's not new at all. Amphetamines have been used since the 20s. People have been...
Well, my dad used to talk about when he was on a ship, he's in the Navy, and how everyone was jacked up on Benzedrine all the time.
Yeah, but the difference is we now have an entire culture around it, and that's what I mean with Instagram. It is also actively being pushed very, very aggressively by the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah, well, that's the problem.
Yes.
These guys are just making money. In the olden days, it was all illicit guys that were making all the money, and it was like kept under the table. In fact, during my stint in high school, I used to work on it was the era when you could actually get a really good summer job. And I had worked at International Harvester for 2 different summers. The first summer I worked there was on the hose bench making
hoses.
Actually making hoses for a specific part of the clutch. And then the next year I was a receiving clerk, which was a much better job. That's when I discovered you really want to be an inspector. But during the hose bench era, I got busted a couple of times for my production was not good. It was low. I was working my ass off making these hoses.
This is where John found out about Benny's.
No, I always knew about Benny's, but I could not get my production numbers up, and I wasn't making the quality product that these other guys were making twice as much. And then within a couple of years, there was a huge bust of a drug ring at International Harvester San Leandro, where they were selling Bennies to these guys. So the reason I wasn't
because you weren't jacked up like they were.
I wasn't jacked up for the company.
So now the question is,
get jacked up for somebody
else. The question is, what do those guys from then look like today?
Well, I don't know.
Are they alive?
They might not be. Who knows? I don't think it's healthy.
No. Well, no, it's pretty much medically proven. It's prolonged use is not healthy. And by the way, these kids, all these different brands, it's all mainly about the strength and the release schedule. So Adderall works quicker. It gets going in about 20 minutes, and it lasts 4 hours. But doesn't quite have the same awesome sauce effect as Vyvanse. But the problem with Vyvanse is it's slow release over a 12-hour period, and that can keep them up sometimes, and they can't sleep, which of course turns them to the weed or the vape pen, so they can smoke some vape some THC to go to sleep, and the cycle repeats the next day. At the same time, when Friday the FDA released a 27-page memo that said CBD products, that's cannabinoid, that's not the THC, should not be a controlled substance. However, due to international treaties, the United States will still require it to be treated as such.
Yeah, international treaties designed by us. What a bull crap. Who writes these international treaties?
Presidents.
Presidents of the United States. Yeah, international treaties.
The letter was written.
You look into the background of this international treaty, which apparently Portugal doesn't abide by. I think is Ecuador or Paraguay, one of these countries in South America, doesn't go for it. And I guess Canada, what are they going to do?
So if you have a CBD with less than 0.1% of THC, because you extract it and there's always something left. So 0.1%, that CBD will be classified as Schedule 5. Now, it's not Schedule 1. That is where CBD with extracts more than 0.1% will remain. On Schedule 1, up there with horse.
Well, if you talk, with horse and cocaine and Oreos. Now, if you talk to the experts up in the shops where all the old ladies go,
for their arthritis
in Washington State, they all tell you the same thing, and you'll see it in the blends of the edibles. If you need a dose of CBD for your, for whatever reason, you really need to have some THC mixed into it because they do work in a combinative way.
Yes, they do. So that'll be Schedule 1 stuff. That's the whole reason right there is the old ladies. That's the target market. I agree.
Well, the old ladies eventually will put their foot down on this stuff, and
and they'll vote.
It's mostly the Democrat. In this case, this is a good topic for the Democrats to get into.
Right.
Democrats are the old ladies, and they're the ones that should be promoting the legalization of this. There's a lot of good topics that Democrats, besides open borders and a couple of other minor issues and hate Trump, they could find stuff to talk about, but they refuse to do it.
Yeah. Curious, but it is true. So that's the report. The combo that to me was the most interesting was the combination of Instagram and the amphetamines.
So that's what you got out of the girls? Did they give you a couple vials?
I can get
a couple pills.
They wouldn't just give it to me. No, they got to sell it to me. They're not going to give it to me. Like, hey, old man.
A couple of Gee Whizzers for
I'm like, hey, I'm going to do
$7 a pop.
I'm going to do the show now. Hit me up. Hit me up with some Adderall. Can you imagine?
These girls are all high the whole time they're there?
No. They only need it when they need to perform.
Okay.
And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to the man who put the C in CBD, John C. Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Kerr. Also in the morning to ships and sea boots to the ground. Feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the day out there.
Yo, time for your Adderall. And in the morning to the troll room, noagendastream.com. Looks like we have some kind of issue with the web chat today. Apologies for that. But we still have mucho people tuning in, which is always nice to see as we do the show live on Sundays and Thursdays at 11 Central Time, 9 Gitmo Nation Pacific Time. Also in the morning to Cesium 137. He brought us the artwork for episode 1074. The title of that was Boo You. And this was the money, yesterday's money and today's money, two piles of dollar bills showing how inflation works in one easy illustration. And did get a note from Cesium 137. He said, hey, I've been trying to kill the flu with the limoncello. I'll let you know if it worked. That is I think it has to be Dame Elise Garling's limoncello. Otherwise, it may not work. But nice piece of art, and we appreciate the work that all of our artists do. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. Before we move on, just speaking of art for a second, I really like the Banksy stunt.
What was it? I don't know of it.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, it's not really worth clipping because it's really just a bunch of people freaking out. So at Sotheby's in the UK, they're auctioning off Little Girl with a Red Balloon, which is a very famous Banksy iconic piece of work. It goes for £1 million. £1 million. The gavel comes down, and Seconds later, and this is all filmed presumably by Banksy or one of his accomplices, this frame around the painting, I think it's watercolor, it starts whirring and clicking and beeping.
Well, the painting should be made from spray paint, but go on. Krylon.
It's on paper. The frame starts whirring and clicking and beeping, and the artwork starts slipping down in the frame, and at the bottom of the frame, it's coming out shredded. And so it drops down halfway, and it's completely shredded. Although it's all the shredded bits are just waving there, and people are freaking out. Immediately they're taking it off the wall, they're rushing it away. And Banksy did this video, and he says, "Well, a couple of years ago I did this," which I find unlikely, by the way. And he shows how he put this shredder system into a piece of artwork, and then it was all rigged ahead of time, ready for this gag. Of course, I think it's worth a lot more now that this happened. But I'm a little skeptical about him having set this up years ahead of time, and I guess it's got a battery in there, and the battery's just listening nonstop for years, and I don't know.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Technically, I have some issues with it, but you've got to see the video because it's very, very funny.
Huh. So what, did it roll up the one painting and spit out the other one?
No, it just half of the picture had dropped down halfway. But
but was it rolled up into? Was there a mechanism there that already had the pre-shredded stuff?
No. The actual piece that's in there just the shredder goes on. Imagine you just got a piece of paper on top of the shredder. Nothing happens, but then you turn the shredder on, and then it shreds it as it goes down.
Yeah, well, it's okay.
Anyway, transitioning to our $1 million.
Yeah, which we didn't make. We didn't get our $1 million.
No.
But we did get a couple of people. In fact, one guy held up for some reason, Seronimus of Dogpatch in Lower Slobovia.
What? He's back again.
With another $800.
Oh, my goodness.
I think it's because he has a grievance and he wants me to read this.
Well, we do love his content.
No, this is a good one.
Okay. Now, this is Seronimus of Dogpatch in Lower Slobovia, a longtime supporter of the show. Does not want any titles. He would likely be a duke by now,
I'm guessing.
And he always writes in a letter, and we really have no other thoughts about him except he's a Muslim.
He's very anonymous. He sends his sealed envelope with no return address. Dear listeners and producers, pardon my small soapbox, but having recently been confronted by two SJW that called me a racist for refusing to sign a lame petition about illegal immigrant so-called parents being separated from their so-called children, I had to type this. The SJWs, and for anyone new, is social justice warriors. You know them all. They're the ones that were against Kavanaugh. These SJWs' ignorance still pisses me off. I asked them if they'd ever dealt with child trafficking, ever paid cash to get young girls and boys returned, ever tried to adopt orphans or paid their tuition for a private school to save them from traffickers. Have they ever confronted traffickers that shoot first or murder the children to escape? Have they ever been to a third world country to do anything but post selfies on social media? Have they done more than retweet "Bring Back Our Girls" hashtag? I have. So look through the self-righteous BS and see how you are helping child traffickers with this petition. Children fall for the promise that they will get a better life somewhere and often go willingly. Keeping them with the traffickers means that it will be successful. If we save even one child or just 1% of these children through this process of the 164 or whatever number they claim was separated, it is one less victim of slavery. Or do you support child slavery in the United States? I do very little, but even little isn't cheap, isn't easy, and isn't without risk. So I'm not signing a petition to make this stuff easier for the trafficker. And don't start me on green energy and demand for rare earth metals from China and Africa and the devastation of the region and people. Visit these places. These places are real shitholes where we underpay for the material so America and the EU can breathe clean air at the cost of destroying entire villages and making areas uninhabitable, since there is no money for reclamation. We insist on no child labor in garment factories. Validation diamonds are not blood diamonds, but have no standards for green energy material production. I don't see Al Gore visiting these places or talking about this stuff. Only the need for more rare earth metals in the U.S. Governor Brown should get a clue. Spend the satellite money on reclamation in China or the DR Congo, or insist on clean mining sources to really save the planet. Ignorant, overprotected, self-righteous, self-absorbed, greedy, and selfish fools. Stepping down from the soapbox, and thanks for the advertising time. NJNK. Wow. Well, there's only one way to come out of that.
The more you know in the morning.
Seronimus.
Seronimus strikes again.
Thank you very much.
Tim Lang, $333.33 from San Francisco, California. 33 extra lucky donation for me and my fiance's upcoming wedding. I second Adam in his notion that proposing is the easy part. Wedding planning is tough. Please give me some wedding karma and throw in some career karma, as I've just been promoted.
So Tina hadn't heard the show when we were talking about just doing it green screen and streaming it and sending everybody a piece of cake. She's not against the idea.
Yeah.
She says now.
You've got karma.
Oh, I don't need a gift. You can just give me anything.
Yeah, that was right after. I don't need a ring. Uh-huh.
I don't need a ring. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'll just be humiliated.
It's beautiful.
Braden Whitehead, Sir Knives, Knight of the Providence Plantations, $291.09. He'll be associate executive producer. I'm donating today in celebration of my smoking hot wife, Stephanie Batters' 29th birthday on October 9th. As such, I decided 29109 worked for a number 29 years on 10-9. Please give her the producer credit as well as the credit towards her damehood. I feel obliged to also please ask Adam to be sure to remember her birthday shout out as well. You may recall her donation at the end of August and the note regarding my missed shout out. Though it didn't really bother me that much, she clearly takes these things a bit more seriously than I.
Yeah, it's on the list. I double checked.
And it would be a shame to see anyone, as John so aptly put it, get battersed again. I don't remember saying that, but okay. We will be celebrating in Maine for her birthday. Say hi to Susan Collins during the show on Sunday. So I'm sad to report we may miss our much vaunted Sunday no agenda millennial brunch. But rest assured, I'll be making every effort to play the live stream regardless. With any luck, maybe I'll be able to hit some of our buddies in the mouth while I'm at it. If I could get some karma in the Space Force for the love of my children's birthday, love of my life's birthday. Where did I get that from? For the love of my life's birthday, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Steph.
He says, love you. Not thank you. He says, love you. Love you, Steph. And then he says,
I've been noticing that I've been turning very slightly dyslexic ever since I had the
I was going to say, is that from the IOP?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Well, you should go get a refund.
I'm not going to get a refund. I can see. Thanks.
Space Force. Wait. You've got karma.
Well, I already did the Space Force.
Okay, he says, thanks again for everything you guys do. Loves the show.
Thank you.
Onward to Sir Chris Spears in Austin, Texas, your buddy. 23456. Want to thank you for doing what you do and hope this long overdue value for value finds you well. If you please, I would love to hear JC's call for obedience. Adam, if I might ask, can you post a link to your clip of the Seedman's prescient warning of bovine chimeras? That's the growing babies, I think.
Right. Oh, he wants. Oh, I'll put it in the show notes. Yeah, that's no problem. You can do that.
Thanks, Sir Chris.
Okay, I got both of those.
You will obey.
My God, for 25 years, they've been growing babies in cows.
You've got karma.
They're called calves. Stephen Schnuel in McMinnville, Tennessee. Another one of our Tennesseans, $200. First-time donor.
De-douching.
You've been de-douched.
Yep, got a de-douche.
He got his douchebag call-out to all the members of the Team We Eating.
Oh,
they know who they are.
Douchebag call-out?
Douchebag.
I hear Nashville is getting pretty bad. I got a note from one of our producers that there's 100 people a day moving to Nashville. I'm sure a lot of them are for California, and they've got the damn scooters everywhere.
There has been some promotion of Nashville in the California news and the local news as a cool place to move. So you might be right.
And they got tech. They got techs. They're saddling up tech over there.
Well, there's a lot of tech over there already.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of our Tennesseans are all dudes named Ben.
Dolly Parton has got to be full of tech. There's no other way she could be walking around.
Yeah, she's all teched up.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, that's all there is.
Okay, these are our executive and associate executive producers for episode 1075. Now, you can proudly display that title anywhere that titles are recognized. We suggest you do it. We've seen a lot of success, people looking for gigs, all kinds of jobs. You get a lot of interest. People will search you, will look at you on the LinkedIn. And above all, know that you have contributed enormous value to the best podcast in the universe. And it's the only way we keep the show running. We have more people to thank, $50 and above in our second segment. And a reminder that Thursday, we will be back doing it once again right here on the No Agenda Show. Support us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Very nice. You can do more of those little percussion bits. Oh, and spread the word.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Shut up, Slade! Yay!
Shut up, Slade!
I do have a Jung quote of the day.
Jung? Carl Jung?
Yes, I was reviewing some Jung, and it turns out he has some good things to say.
Well, he's always had a few quips.
Here, and this is kind of with the wat je zegt ben jezelf met je kop door de helft. Everything, which means you are what you accuse others of.
Yes, the classic.
Here's Jung. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Right.
I guess it's kind of this. It has a similar
thing. But I just liked it. It's like, yeah, nice. Fits in. There's an interesting little video thing they do over at the Euro Parliament TV. They got their own TV station. See, we have C-SPAN where we just cover stuff. It's pretty boring. But there they have produced packages and little updates. Euroland, coming from Brussels. They got produced packages, and they let you know what's changing.
Well, we do the same thing. Only we use it do it through the networks and kind of hide the fact.
We try exactly
that it's government.
Yeah, we let them pretend they made
it's called CBS.
Yeah, they just put a different sticker on it. It's fine. So they're a little more honest, and something very interesting caught my attention in this in the most recent overview of what the Euro Parliament is working on.
MEPs voted for cars on European roads to be cleaner. By 2030, car makers will have to cut their fleet-wide CO2 emissions by 40%. On-demand platforms will have to feature a 30% quota of European content. New rules on audiovisual media will also protect children from violent content and apply stricter rules on advertising.
Oh my. Ruh-roh, Netflix. So they're doing the French thing. That on-demand platforms will be mandated to have 30% European content.
Can they even produce that much?
No way, and it'll suck. However, this presents...
You can have it. It doesn't mean that, you can have the content. Doesn't mean...
Right.
You get room on the servers.
You're not thinking straight.
Okay.
This is an opportunity to make some cheap-ass, shitty European content and sell it to Netflix, who needs it.
Yeah, some crummy EU films.
And how do you even go about doing this? So you look at the entire library Netflix has. 30% of that entire library has to be produced in the European Union. How about Amazon, which has every movie and TV show known to man almost? That's also going to have to now be 30%? And how do you police that? How do you track it? Is it just what is offered? I mean, I think this is huge. This is a huge change.
Well, how much stuff do you think we could crank out if we put together a little production group and some writers to write some really crappy plays?
I mean, I think we can probably crank out 10 episodes a week.
I don't think we can do that much production.
Well, no one said how long it has to be. It's, it can just be a short.
I think when they analyze the 30%, it's going to be required to be 30% of the total time of content.
Well, see, time. I don't know if they're doing it by title, amount of titles, or by time. No, it can't be doing it
by title. Then you just do a bunch of 5-minute things.
That's where I was going.
No, they're not going to put up with that. They're going to see through that bull crap.
It's so odd, So I don't understand how.
I got an idea. How about this? So you're thinking differently than I'm just starting to think.
Yeah, I'm commercial.
I'm thinking the way Andy Warhol used to do movies.
Yes, The Factory.
Well, Warhol used to, for example, one of his movies is a 24-hour movie, which chews up a lot of time. It's a 24-hour movie of a camera's position to watch the Empire State Building for 24 hours. That's it.
It's content.
Movie's over.
But I don't understand, how does this fit in with the multicultural globalist society? Don't we also need at least 10% Arabic? I mean, this is coming down Broadway. You can see it happening. And maybe that's our angle.
Well, that will be in the future.
Maybe that's our angle. We go and we say, listen, we need to represent the entire population of the European Union. We need Arabic programming. We feel it should. Now, let's look at Sweden. 3 million of the 30 million. It's about 10%. So 10% should be Arabic. And we just go and produce that.
I'm liking the idea of the stationary camera.
Because with Arabic, no one will want to finance it. So we're guaranteed to get subsidies from the same European Union mandating this 10% that we're going to force on them.
We can do it. We can start a studio.
If Obama can do it.
We have to have the studio. It has to be located in the EU. So you have to put the Netherlands as you've got the context.
Easy.
Yeah,
it's
put
done.
A place up
it's
there.
Done. I got a couple of Moroccan buddies. They can be hosts.
Oh, perfect.
And we just do GoPros on their helmets as they're going by liquidating people. Oh, I'm sorry. What am I thinking?
Yeah.
All
right. Enough of that. So the Brazil's got a big election coming up. They got this fascist. I don't know what he is. There's the Trump of Brazil, they call him. But in fact, even Glenn Greenwald doesn't think so. He's just this new guy. And everyone's all freaked out about it. Nobody, of course, is covering it in the United States except Democracy Now! Because they do actually cover more international news than the networks do. Even though they don't really cover anything. They just read from some report. They read from a wire. But they actually discuss this a little bit. This is so we can keep up. So we show where international the show is. The Brazilian elections.
Black people, the indigenous, and the LGBT community and women have conquered so far. He represents a threat to democracy in our country, a democracy that we are still building.
Joining us in Rio de Janeiro's Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Glenn Greenwald, who co-founded The Intercept. Glenn, welcome back to Democracy Now! Can you talk about the significance of what is happening right now in Brazil, and particularly on Sunday, the election?
To begin with, the significance is that Brazil is a country of 210 million people, so it's the fifth most populous country in the world, right behind the United States, the second largest in the hemisphere and the most influential in all of Latin America. It's also the seventh largest economy in the world with major oil reserves. And what the Western media has often been doing in talking about Bolsonaro is calling him Brazil's Trump, which drastically and radically understates the case. He's much closer to, say, Duterte in the Philippines or even General Sisi in Egypt, both in terms of
Trump.
What he intends to do and wants to do and what he's able to do given the fragility of Brazil, which is an extremely young democracy that exited a military dictatorship only 33 years ago and therefore doesn't have the same kind of institutions to limit what someone would want to do the way, say, the United States or the UK would. So it's an extremely dangerous moment for this country. Polls do show that he's unlikely to win in the first round on Sunday, but there is a possibility that he could actually just get 50% of the vote and avoid a runoff entirely. But even if he does make the runoff, the signs are really showing that he's likely to win against Lula's handpicked successor because of how much animus has been built up by the media and the business class toward PT in this country.
Before we continue, I just got a text from Horowitz, and he says, Brazilian stock markets like this guy a lot. So just for context.
And can you talk more about just exactly what Bolsonaro represents, his homophobic comments, his anti-women comments, his support of the Brazilian military dictatorship?
And, you can go through the whole list of shocking comments. He once said in an interview that he would rather hear that his son died in a car accident than hear that his son is gay. He told a colleague in the lower house of Congress, where he served for 30 years, when she accused him of defending torture and rape, which he did during the dictatorship, that she need not worry because, in his words, she didn't deserve to be raped by him, meaning that she was too ugly to deserve and merit his rape. There's a whole slew of comments like that about black people, about the indigenous. But the much more worrying aspect are not these kind of comments, but the policies that he is explicitly endorsing. His model for how he wants to deal with crime are the world's worst dictators. People like Pinochet, he's advocated that we do things like in the Philippines, where we just send the military and the police to just indiscriminately slaughter whoever they think is a drug dealer or a criminal without trials. He believes in military rule. He doesn't regard the military coup of 1964 and the 21-year resulting military dictatorship as a coup or as a dictatorship. He regards it as something noble and wants to replicate it.
So this is one of our guys, apparently. Must be. If the stock market's like him.
Now that you mention it, there's some element of that, yeah.
Yeah, so we got to look into it.
Market would be booming.
Yeah, we got to look into this guy, see what's happening. Yeah, it's sad.
It's not like he's a new guy. It's Bolsonaro. It's Bolsonaro.
No, he's been around. Yeah, he's been around,
and he does make the rude comments.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna be the next guy running Brazil. So we'll see what happens.
Well, they got the oils, that's for sure. They got resources.
A lot of natural resources that are.
It's just, but has it just been corruption? The reason why Brazil has such a large percentage of the population is just completely impoverished is because of corruption. Because it seems like they got a pretty rich country, or rich in resources, and it's just too many people. What is the problem there? Or what is the problem? Come on, Uncle John.
They like to party.
They party too much. Damn Brazilians. That's a good enough answer.
And the funny thing is, any Brazilian who's listening to that comment will say, yeah, well, he's right about that.
He's right. Nobel Peace Prize was announced. If anyone thought that Trump was actually going to get the Nobel Peace Prize, certainly at this point in the trajectory of the North Korean negotiations, well, that would have been quite foolish. But as usual, these political organizations, which is really what they are, I mean, I don't find much value. I think after they gave President Obama the Peace Prize before he was president, just because he wasn't, Bush, I guess.
Yeah, that was the low point.
Yeah, I mean that, and there's a lot of corruption in these groups.
Being one of the,
one of the
more aggressive presidents we've had.
Yeah, although I hear Trump is pretty big on the drone stuff too, but we don't really have. I don't think he has the.
Yeah, but I'm thinking Libya. And
that was a lot more.
Egypt and all that stuff.
Yeah. But very political, and of all the things that have taken place in the world where people have fought for peace and for peaceful movements, I thought this was a pretty shallow choice, within reason, of course.
A standing ovation for Congolese Nobel Peace Prize winner Denis Mukwege, who treats war rape victims in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Mukwege dedicated his award to all women affected by rape and sexual violence.
I don't see what that has to do with peace. You see, he treats rape victims, and this is the old adage of mainly soldiers going around raping women and children, just horrible things. But I don't really see how this is what he's done for peace. He's highlighted a horrible issue and he's treating people. But
at his Panzi hospital in the eastern Congolese city of Bukavu, Mukwege says the prize was an important recognition of many women's trauma. When you start counting the numbers, the millions of deaths and hundreds of thousands of women raped, then they can no longer be ignored. We cannot continue to simply count numbers. We have to start a process that will lead to the truth coming out and justice being done. The world can today draw a red line and say in armed conflicts, women should never be used as a battleground. And if anyone breaks that rule, they should be isolated from society. Nadia Murad, a Yazidi rights activist and survivor of sexual slavery by so-called Islamic State, also won the prestigious award. Nadia was 21 when in 2014 militants took her from northern Iraq and repeatedly sold her for sex. She escaped and is now an advocate for the rights of her community around the world.
So, great people, they're doing great things, but it just seems like it's being used as an encouragement prize. I mean, these are not earth-shattering peace movements, or they have not necessarily brought peace to the world. Am I just overanalyzing this?
I felt the same way when I heard this. They were discussing it on Democracy Now!, and I was going to take a clip, and I said, this award is pretty sketchy to begin with, and these guys, and the Congo, I mean, you don't know what's going on there.
Well, so the two things that were of interest was, one, it was kind of like a hashtag Me Too. It's the conversation of the Western world. I mean, this takes place in the Netherlands too. They call it, they don't say hashtag, but they call it a literal Me Too moment. Hey, je hebt een Me Too momentje. That was my Dutch. So the actual term Me Too has been transported. They don't even translate it into local lingo. So it's a big political thing, which of course it's a thing. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, but it's always the whole thing, even this Peace Prize, all seems oriented to get Democrats to vote for Democrats.
Even the Nobel Prize Committee?
I think so, yes.
These guys are just... It
was the message about, women being raped.
I'll tell you...
And who does the raping? Republicans. What do we do about it? Vote.
If I was on the Nobel Committee, I'd give it to these guys.
This may look like a tent city, but it's actually City Field. The City Field parking lot, to be more precise, is where a couple thousand people and counting are now living. Did I mention it's a parking lot? What would cause people to come from all over the country?
I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. South Florida, like an hour from Miami.
To live in a makeshift campground at this stadium. It's the biggest selling boy band of all time, BTS, from South Korea.
They're all overall good people and want to do good things for the world. So that's personally for me why I love them.
On her hand, the number 2. She's second in line for more than 5,000 general admission, standing room only spots next to the stage inside the stadium. The thousands and thousands of other tickets are for seats, and they sold out in less than 10 minutes weeks ago. So these devoted general admission fans organized their numbers on a list and organized their tents. Some have been here a full week. They say it's worth it to connect with stars so appealing they were invited to speak to the world at the UN last week, and who speak to each individual fan in concert.
We feel the same issues that they're going through, and everything is just universal, and it's just really nice.
I'm telling you, these BTS kids, they should have gotten the Nobel Prize. They're actually cross-promoting love across borders and peace, and these kids don't even understand the lyrics. And how the hell does that work? The world is flipped upside down. It used to be our crazy musicians with the long hair, like the White Snake.
Man.
And like Cheap Trick. Let's take Cheap Trick. And they go over to Japan and Korea and the Asian countries, and people are like, wow, we've never seen this, mind-boggling. And now our kids are blown away by, and it's very odd.
Gangnam Style.
It's if only it were Gangnam Style. You know, this is
the first one though. That's the first Korean inroad.
This music may be designed specifically for Adderall. I'm just thinking about it. I'll have to evaluate that.
And maybe there's a hidden message.
Or maybe they're just playing into it, and maybe we should learn something from that. Maybe we just start talking really, hey, how many people do you know that listen to us on 1.5 speed or 2 times the speed, John? Lots of people do that. I wonder if those people are taking Adderall as well. They want to hear me talk really fast.
It's possible.
Yes. Okay.
Well, that reminds me that I get to play this clip.
Wait, informal poll before you play the clip. How many of you who listen to the No Agenda show on multi-factor speed, which, as you know, I'm not a fan of because I feel that you lose nuance. How many of you are either taking Adderall, Vyvanse, another amphetamine, or just a meth head? It's okay if you're that too. Just let us know.
If you're a meth head, let us know.
You know that's the opening of the show, right? All right, what's your clip?
So talking about the hidden messaging, somebody was I cut this way down because it was just some podcaster guy. I can't remember his name, and he's just showing that Dianne Feinstein had a hidden message if you played her little spiel backwards.
Wait,
you haven't heard this?
No.
Yeah, she was with when she was with Schumer, and they're talking about how they're going to vote against this guy Kavanaugh. This guy found a little segment in there where, and he played her backwards, and this is the result.
Okay, well, which clip is it? I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The CIA paid me, Feinstein. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, I can't wait.
So let's focus in right here. Do I need to slow it down a little bit more for you? I'm sorry, who paid you? Did I just hear the CIA paid me?
You know, there's a lot of people, there's entire theories of, and people who have, you know, kind of flesh this all out, that everyone, when you're speaking in this dimension or this universe, in an alternate universe, you are saying something else if you play it backwards. And everybody, you know, and we've done a couple of these, I think, a long time ago.
Yeah, we've done a couple. You did one once that was so off the wall, it wasn't even making any sense to me. We haven't done anything.
Hold on, here's Obama's, I think this was Obama's reverse message.
Oh, yeah, this was a classic.
Oh, that may not be it. No, that's not it. Hold on. That's someone.
The one that says Satan loves you? Is that
no, it was Yes We Can, I think. It was Obama reverse, maybe? Oh, yes, here we go.
Thank you, Satan.
That's Yes We Can.
Yeah, Yes We Can. It was Thank You, Satan.
Thank you, Satan. Yeah, proof right there.
I think it's probably right. I think maybe this is something. There's something going on here.
Let me listen to it again.
Let's focus in right here. Do I need to slow it down a little bit more for you? I'm sorry, who paid you? Did I just hear the CIA paid me?
Oh, this is great. Did this YouTube thing start off with, hey guys? Did it start off like that?
It's something like that. But the guy really was belaboring. I mean, this is like, what I cut out of there is like out of about 20 minutes of him first playing it the one way, then the other, and then looking for it just was a long clip. But,
right.
It boiled down.
I'm all in on this. I'm like, yeah, okay. I can see that. I can see where in an alternate universe you're saying something else that is masked in the backward masking, and it's all the work of the devil.
Well, I do know that I have the tendency occasionally to in just general commentary, to throw in an outrageously well thought out pun by accident.
Oh, that's the Lord, man.
And I do it all the time.
That's the Lord channeling.
When I do it, I'm always like, I take credit for it, but it's like, no, I'm just it's like hitting the billiard balls and hoping they go in.
All right. Well, then, just as a little entremont, this is from Country Music Television. There's a show now about girls becoming cheerleaders for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, that's been yeah.
Well, this is the level. Maybe she's saying something backward too.
For me stuttering and going blank, and it's not that I don't know anything that's going on. Of course, there are topics though that I'm not going to be as educated on. I'm now working on if there is like a topic that comes up that I'm not as versed on, that I can have the tools to better handle that situation.
I was kind of curious, how do you consume your news?
I use Instagram, but you know that Instagram is not like news.
Do you have TV, radio?
Actually, no, ma'am.
You definitely need to consume more news. Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Just for your own sake.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the coach. Yeah, you need some consumer news.
So she consumes her news from Instagram,
and what she needs is the Smart News app.
Smart News.
I was only watching news I agreed with.
I was only getting news from social media.
Now, I use Smart News.
It has news from all sides. I trust Smart News. Download Smart News for free today.
I like that. I trust Smart News.
Now, that girl sounded a lot like Miss South Carolina.
Oh, this I don't know. I don't know what her name is.
This is a clip that I keep making you play over and over again. This is Miss Junior Miss or whatever it is. The South Carolina. See if you can find it. It could be either SC or South Carolina, where she's answering a stupid question about why can't most Americans find, anything on a map. And she gives this idiotic answer.
South Carolina, it is your turn. South Carolina, go ahead, pick your card. All right, let's see who you got. Judge number 9, Christina Milian, please give us your question.
Should people who leak classified documents in the name of public information be charged with treason?
No, this is the wrong one.
That's the wrong Miss South Carolina. Well, that's all the South Carolinas I got for you. Was that a different year?
Well, there should be another one there because I resubmitted it and we played it a few weeks ago.
Was it with the on guns? I have one of her on guns.
No. Just look for SC. See if there's anything SC or Miss.
Yeah,
Miss
I did Miss SC, and I've got Miss A Q&A SC on guns and why she lost out.
No, try South Carolina then. Just straight
I did
up.
that. That's where I got the other one. We don't have it.
Sorry. I didn't label it properly once again.
That's right. That's what you get. It's probably...
since we're going to have just kind of dummies, I will want to play this. This is the Orrin Hatch clip. From the Kavanaugh hearings. I know I'm back trying to get these out of the way. But this was Hatch. Orrin Hatch apparently, was rolling his eyes, and he's quitting. He's retiring. And he's a questionable character anyway. But he decided to plow through the gaggle of complainers.
Yeah.
And then he got in the elevator. And in the process, he told him to grow up, which got him just triggered.
That triggered a lot of people.
Among those arrested was comedian and actress Amy Schumer. Also protesting was a group of women who confronted Utah Republican Senator Orrin Hatch as he sped into an elevator, challenged him over his support for Kavanaugh. Senator Hatch told the women to grow up, waving them off as he boarded an elevator in the Hart Building.
Why aren't you brave enough to talk to us and exchange it with us? Don't you wave your hand at me. I wave my hand at you.
When you grow up, I'll be glad.
When I grow up, we grow up. I grow up. How dare you talk to women that way? How dare you get that first? How dare you?
Yeah, and these girls looked like they were 12. I know, but that's the attitude. That's the attitude.
How dare you? I wave my hand at you. You can't wave your hand at me.
This is all going horribly wrong. This is
great.
It's going horribly, horribly wrong everywhere. This is not a world to live in anymore.
Here, I have a clip that just says enraged woman. This must be good. It's only 12 seconds.
These men sitting in office, they have no fucking idea. They have no fucking idea. How dare they vote when they have no idea?
No idea of what?
They have no idea.
Just got no idea. Wow. Wow. I don't even know what to do with that.
I have a couple of odd clips. Apparently this Russian hack thing is like getting completely out of control.
Which Russian hack? Because
here, play the more Russians indicted. Listen to this, is just making no sense to me.
Meanwhile, the Justice Department has indicted 7 Russian agents for conspiring to hack the computers of anti-doping officials who uncovered a massive ring of state-sponsored cheating by athletes ahead of the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro.
Okay.
U.S. Attorney Scott Brady said Thursday the 7 agents have ties to GRU, Russia's military intelligence body. He said they went on to attempt hacks against other targets.
They targeted Westinghouse, a nuclear power company based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that supplied nuclear fuel to the Ukraine.
With those port scans.
They targeted the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons,
port scan,
which was investigating the use of chemical weapons in Syria and the poisoning of a former GRU officer and his daughter in the UK. And they targeted a lab in Switzerland that analyzed the nerve agent used in that poisoning.
Okay, hold on, because I have a clip that goes with this one. This is kind of important. Let me just get that last bit here. This piece here.
They targeted the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons.
Yeah, that is the OPCW. And it's interesting that you got this clip, but not really the follow-up, because this is pretty big news in the lowlands, certainly in the...
I have the lowlands clip.
Oh, I have one from the BBC.
Well, okay, mine is the WTF clip, because this is a very strange clip.
Okay, well, I'll play mine. We may have the same one, I don't know, but this is about these Russians who were not just hacking. They had, and there's photos and all kinds of stuff. There was a big press conference. The Dutch intelligence services captured a bunch of Russians who were sitting there in their car near the OPCW, and they had Wi-Fi sniffers and all kinds of stuff.
It was here in April of this year that 4 Russians were detained. They were stopped in this hotel car park with a boot full of surveillance gear. Just next door is the headquarters for the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. At the time, the OPCW was investigating chemical attacks in Syria and also, crucially, the poisoning of Sergei Skripal in Salisbury with nerve agents.
I have to say, whenever I hear an outfit like the BBC do a news report, and this is a news report, but it's produced with scary music, it's no longer a news report. This is propaganda of some sort. We don't know exactly what it is, other than to make the Russians look like a bunch of dicks. But why would you produce this with this spy thriller suspense music under it as the BBC News?
The first surprising thing about this is the fact that anyone's talking about it at all. Normally, counter-espionage operations, the catching of spies, is something that's done in secret. But today, we had a press conference with photographs being released from the Dutch government of the 4 Russian individuals. But the idea was to put more pressure on the GRU about their activities.
They think that we're just going to lie down and accept that they're wrong, and there will be consequences.
It's also surprising the way that the Russians were alleged to be trying to carry out their surveillance. They were doing what's called close access, which involved parking a car in this hotel car park and then using an antenna to capture some of the communication signals going over Wi-Fi. The Russians again seem to have been very aggressive, but also quite sloppy. One of them was carrying a taxi receipt for his trip from the GRU base in Moscow to the airport in Russia, from which he left in order to fly here for the operation.
Ah, the music is just great.
Well, this is a very similar clip. It's from Democracy Now!, but it does emphasize the same facts. But listen to this clip.
The Dutch Defense Ministry says counterintelligence officials broke up a hacking attempt by the Russians as they attempted to break into a Marriott hotel Wi-Fi from a parking lot in The Hague. The Dutch said the Russians had a receipt which showed they took a taxi ride from the headquarters of the GRU, Russia's military intelligence service, to Moscow's main airport. Russia's rejected the indictments, calling them part of a disinformation campaign.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Okay, let's start off with one thing.
Just kind of like the passport on 9/11. You know, like.
Well, I don't even think it's that. The guy has a taxi receipt. You have to keep your receipts. He's probably got the same bureaucratic crap at the GRU.
Boris.
Hey, what are you charging here for this taxi ride? Where's the receipt?
Boris, where is the receipt?
So it's not like Russia. They're so crude over there, they don't need taxi receipts. So he kept his receipt in his wallet. And so that became the center of attention. Some guy's receipt for a taxi ride.
Because it's proof that he took a cab from the GRU headquarters. This is also kind of like making them look like the dumbest spies in history. There's a lot going on here. So it's kind of like finding the hijackers Mohammed Atta's passport completely unscathed. You know, we have this proof of who perpetrated this evil crime. And this got so crazy that there was some problems with the trains on, I think, Friday. And the Netherlands, as we know, always has problems with their trains. If you ever are in the Dutch train and they say, we have a problem with the electrical, what do you call it, John? This above the train, the electrical wires. Did you just call it the electrical wires? It doesn't have a...
I don't know.
It has a name in Dutch, the bovenleiding. So whenever they say, we have a problem, there's a technical problem with the wires, that is code for someone committed suicide and jumped onto the tracks. And it happens a lot, at least once a day. But now there was some problems with the trains, and just stuff was blinking. The Dutch train system has a 50-year history of problems. And people immediately started tweeting, Russians have hacked into the train system.
You know, this other thing about, let's go back to this taxi receipt. You've been all over the world. I've been all over the world. When you get a taxi receipt, does it tell you where you left? Have you ever seen a taxi say, left a hotel burn, you know?
No, typically the guy will give it to you blank, hoping that you will give him a bigger tip for the sham you're about to pull on your employer.
That would be very common.
Interesting.
It's from the GRU headquarters to the airport.
Did it even have the letters GRU HQ?
Do you think that the GRU would allow this sort of thing? It's like you can track people. This is bull crap.
Although these days, absolutely, Uber not only knows where they pick me up and drop me off, they got a map. It gets sent to me. It's copied to the IRS. Everyone knows where you're going.
I don't think Uber's running too much of an operation, and I don't think the GRU is using Uber.
Well, that would make it
a bogus story.
That would make it that much better if they had taken an Uber.
Funnier.
Yeah, it does sound like a big bunch of bull crap.
Now, the other big story that's floating around, and has been floating around, is this. There's two of them. One is, and Pence had a speech recently where he brought this issue up, and I think they're trying to. I'm not sure that any of this is true, or if it's.
Oh yeah. I agree with you.
Pence about China's out to hack us.
The American people deserve to know. In response to the strong stand that President Trump has taken, Beijing is pursuing a comprehensive and coordinated campaign to undermine support for the president, our agenda, and our nation's most cherished ideals.
Pence's warning to Beijing comes amidst a growing U.S.-China trade war, and as the Pentagon's reportedly planning a massive show of force in November, with warships and planes set to carry out exercises near China's territorial waters in the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait.
Oh, I totally believe that's happening. And so that's what they're equating to meddling in the election is by showing up around election time and looking like dicks?
I'm not sure. Yeah, probably.
Because now this does tie in, I believe, in a way to this story that kind of got legs, but isn't really jumping to the forefront about the mini chip.
I have a clip for that too.
Yeah, I want to talk about this for a second because I have some thoughts about it. What you want? Supermicro, yeah. This is interesting.
Bloomberg is reporting China inserted microchips into servers used by major tech companies such as Apple and Amazon that give backdoor access to data. The minuscule grain of rice-sized chip would allow hackers to bypass security and remotely access the networks of these companies. Both Apple and Amazon are denying the claims in the report.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, this was discovered years ago. This is not something new, correct?
I don't know the details of the discovery, but I do have some thoughts on the about this sort of thing because I've worked with people back in. I remember in the 80s, George Morrow used to bitch about this with a Korean subcontractor. He had come up with this very interesting little Zenith product that was a laptop, and it almost cost him his company because they had it manufactured overseas, and it was a very lightweight machine, one of the early ones.
And which machine was this?
It was a little Zenith portable DOS machine.
Oh, it was running DOS or CP/M?
It was DOS. No, this is all DOS by this time. And I think it was long after CP/M. And yeah, no, it was DOS. And so but the machine was a turd when it came back. And Morrow was one of these guys who would design his own kind of screwball circuits that it would, be kind of miraculous. He was something of a genius in that regard. And so they couldn't figure out why this machine, and Zenith was all bent out of shape about a thing being no good. So he's examined the motherboard, and they had changed a bunch of chips on it. And he had to,
one of our knights was running a big program at Apple for that. Remember the trash can Mac?
Yeah.
And he would have to go to China all the time because they would do the exact same thing. They'd all of a sudden they send it with just a different chip than the spec called for, just something just to Apple, which is
outrageous. And so Morrow finally got a hold of the engineers, and he was told that they looked at why they just produce it the way they're supposed to, but they said that apparently they get involved. They looked at it and said, "Oh, this circuit doesn't make any sense." So let's just bypass it and take that circuit out and do this. Right. And so they did. And of course, the machine didn't work right. And I believe that they just constantly do. They're meddlers. They meddle. Oh, we're going to help you. This is a way of helping you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we have here. Unless somebody can show me how this chip works and prove this argument that it's some sort of spy chip.
Now, I had a different thought about this. And I'm looking for the article. I can't find it, but I believe this was discovered quite a while ago. For some reason, it's just now coming to light, and everyone's denying that this has affected them. I see no reason to believe that it wouldn't have been our own intelligence agencies who put this in. That would make a lot more sense, particularly into Google and Facebook servers. Why wouldn't it be in there from them? Why blame the Chinese?
Well, unless I don't even know that the chip does anything that is
I'd like a teardown. I mean, someone has this chip somewhere.
That's what I'm wondering. What is the chip? It's got to be some sort of a known chip.
I mean,
you can't make a little submicron product, just in your backyard. It's just the whole story seems sketchy, and I think it may be part of this Pence comment about the Chinese trying to hack the elections and trying to get everyone off the scent of the lack of scent of the Russians. I have no idea. This just seems like a phony baloney thing. And Bloomberg, I don't trust them at all.
Well, for sure. The only thing I can think to add to this is that I've received so many notes after there's a lot of different theories and ideas, but everyone pretty much agrees, yeah, they're rude. They're also proud of stealing, often, certainly if it's stealing from non-Chinese entities. And this is one of for me, the first population that I actually look at and say, you know what? We may really be incompatible. and they're just dicks, and they probably think we're dicks. So, and that presents a problem because they really have a lot of integration with us on, technology, finance, sovereign finance. But I think Chinese, I know it sounds xenophobic and bigoted, but they just may be dicks. No, I mean, that's their culture.
Culture of dicks.
And I'm sure they think we're dicks too. So yeah, we're messing with them reasonably hard right now. What they're doing in the South China Sea and near Japan. This is insane. And I think in that regard, Trump is correct. No one has ever just said, "Hey, cut it out." We're all just like, "Oh, let's look at we're monitoring the situation." They built entire bases.
Yeah.
And that's an important.
Yeah, they haven't had that happen. They haven't had anyone tell them to stop.
I really hope we don't get some kind of kinetic thing going on there, because that's not going to be pretty. But this is to say that, hey, they're trying to rig our election. Of course, you immediately think, trying to distract away from the Russians. This is why, and from a PR standpoint, it's just a stupid thing to say, or at least to say. Even did they use the word meddle? They use the exact same.
It was Pence going on about it.
Well, Pence would know.
I like metal.
Like metal. All right. Let's do this.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda.
I want to thank a couple in Hawaii. They sent me a box. This was Sabrina Coddington, and I think her husband's name is, I can't read I think it's Christoph or Christopher, but his handwriting is illegible. But aloha, my husband has been a fan of your show for the past couple of years. I enjoy seeing how happy he gets after listening to your show. He won't be happy if I can't pronounce his name. Hearing the stories we hope you enjoy and all the Hawaiian gifts. So he sent me the two of them sent me a box of a bunch of cornball Hawaiian products. If you
a lot of hula skirt stuff.
Well, no, it's mostly books on how to speak Pidgin English and a lot of stuff with macadamia nuts in it. It's actually kind of a nice gift. He wants his family to ask for some major family baby surgery karma for a newborn, the Emmett. That's not good.
Well, let's hand it out now then.
Yeah.
You've got karma.
And he sent a long note explaining it. But I want to thank them for sending this. And his wife is this really had a little flyer because she's apparently a singer. She does like events, and she's just gorgeous. Oh, so he's a lucky guy.
Oh, very nice.
Anyway,
now was there anything for me in this care package, or just for you?
I guess I should give you half of it.
Okay.
Rebecca Waters starts off today, or actually, let's start off with Craig Lawton with $100 from Mitcham, Victoria, Australia. He's been listening for 6 months, and he's making it clear that the Mention B illness is global.
He says, my wife and I ditched Facebook on our phones recently. Twitter is next. Too much madness. Recently hit my brother in the mouth. He lives in New York City. Unfortunately, he wasn't keen on listening to Trump apologists. He's my younger brother, so I'll just keep hitting him until he gets it, and we'll give them a little de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
New York's tough. It's got the daily news. It's just a bunch of Trump hate. I mean, the whole town is a mess. Rebecca Waters, $100.
This is Rebecca, who is with Jeffrey Tuhig.
Yeah.
And she's thanks for contributing to our sanity. Congrats on the engagement. Yes, please stream the wedding. You and John keep us sane and laughing. Please give Jeffrey Tuhig some jobs karma. It's rough out there. We'll put that at the end for sure.
Sir Andrew Gusick, NC4 AG, 73s.
73s.
And he's in a ship at sea. 73s from a ship at sea.
Oh.
And he wants to wish his brother a happy birthday and speedy back recovery. He's got a thing on there. It's on the list.
I wonder if he used the WINS network to send this email.
I don't know. He should have told us. We need details. Ian Odom in Weed, California, 8080. Odom is, yes, I got that, I think, is the correct pronunciation. Since you seem to mispronounce wrong again. I think it was autumn last time. Oh, I know how to pronounce Odom. There's a couple basketball players. Laura Willems, parts unknown, another 8008 boob donation.
Now, Laura, hold on a second. Laura is donating for her husband. I think we need to, let me just double check. I think we need to. That's what date night is all about. At first, I didn't get it and wanted to wash out Adam's mouth with soap, but I did enjoy the jingles. I even started asking him what John and Adam had to say about certain events, but I never listened on my own. Finally, after a trip to Vegas and enjoying the show on the car ride there, I started listening on my own. I learned it by watching you, okay? I cannot thank you all enough for what you do. I've watched my own mother become so far entrenched in Dimension B that she has spent the last 15 years of her life miserable and hateful because all she does is listen to MSM 24/7 and believe it all. What I learned on your show keeps me from losing my mind when talking to her. Another family relationship saved. Woohoo! Anyway, on to the donation. My husband would make a donation every now and then, but wasn't consistent. I enrolled under my name, Laura, for the $4 a week subscription. Thank you. And then would do a random donation periodically. This year, I added the subscription for $20.18 a month. Today, I make a boob donation, his favorite, in honor of his 56th birthday on the 7th of October. As I look at the spreadsheet, I realized that we had more than enough for one night in the family, so I would like to surprise him for his birthday with the boob donation and knighthood. Now, I don't know what he wants for his name. I'm guessing Sir Turbo, and I don't know what he wants at the round table, so I'm going to have to follow up with an email and his request. I also will be sending another email with the accounting attached, as I can't access right now. Okay. Without him seeing me and have him send this. I want to send it. So it was a surprise.
Surprise! Surprise!
Surprise! Hey, surprise! That's very nice. Yeah, he's on the list. Of course he is. Yes. That's so sweet. From Laura to Billy. That is beautiful. And way to go. Risky move, Billy. Trying to hit her in the mouth on date night. Risky move.
Yeah. Oh. Hey, listen to these two guys. They're a turn on, man.
Hey, are you turned on yet? We are the Viagra of podcasting right here.
There you go. Must be. Sir Herb Lamb, happy 11th anniversary. He says he came in with a boob donation, 8008. Richard Hufford in Tempe, Arizona, another boob donation of 8008. Bill Johnson, 67, and it's happy birthday to his beautiful wife, Jennifer. She apparently got into the show after she used to be an eye roller, I guess, when she listened to the show. She's still kind of not quite.
You know, this show
not quite fixed.
No, but we're bringing families together.
We try, Sir John, or bringing them apart. Sometimes reality.
Hey, sometimes you got to rip the Band-Aid off, people.
Sir John Fitzpatrick in Heber Springs, Arkansas, 6006 small boob. Avinash Persad in Atlanta, in Port St. Lucie in Florida, 6006. Dave, just plain Dave, 5510 in Atlanta, Georgia.
Thanks, Dave.
Stephen Casomeni, maybe. Victoria, BC, 5440. Michael Gates, 5280. David Corbanu, parts unknown.
He sent us a very long email about how ICE really works and what they can and can't do and why there's problems with these arrests. And I'm still parsing it because there's a lot to go through, but it is very good. So we received
we'll probably read it later.
And Dave, I think Dave also did the mix for today's show.
And he came with 5033 and gave us a mix and a memo. Edward Mazurek in Memphis, Tennessee, 50. The following people are all $50 donors. Name and location, if I have the location. Brittany Fiffner, 50. Her husband gives a huge Okay, we're going to give him a job karma at the end.
Okay.
Todd Moore in Arlington, Virginia. Andrew Martin in Sydney, New South Wales. Victor Munoz in Brandon, Mississippi.
No, Victor's in Miami. Miami.
Oh.
Miami.
Yes, he is. Victor Munoz is in Miami. It's Joseph Pumphrey who's in Brandon, Mississippi. David Schlesinger in Rosemont, Illinois. Jonathan Meyer in Xenia, Ohio. Anthony Sammons in Augusta, GA. Heather Rodriguez in Stockton, California. Sir Brett Farrell in Oklahoma City. Sir Alan Bean over here in Oaktown, Oakland, California. And last but not least, Jason DeLuzio in Chadsford, Pennsylvania. I want to thank all these folks for producing show 1075, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking, because it does strike me a little bit, these relationships and people turning them on to the show and them coming together and coming closer. And I'm thinking, if you can schedule date night with the live stream, I mean, you can really lather up your partner when you hear John playing the recorder before we do the show. And can we put relationship therapist on our business card now?
You can put anything you want. My next business card is going to be ancient astronaut theorist, which is my absolute favorite title of late.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Yes, my life passes before my very eyes as we have another birthday segment. It is the 7th of October, 2018, and we give out a belated birthday to Ian Odom, and we have more birthdays. In fact, we have Brandon Whitehead, who says happy birthday to his smoking hot wife, Stephanie. She turns 29 on October 9th. Laura Williams, as we heard, happy birthday to her husband, Billy, 56 today. Bill Johnson, happy birthday to his beautiful wife, Jennifer, also celebrating today. Sir Andrew Gusek says happy birthday to his brother, November Charlie 4 Romeo Golf, Sir Bob of the dude's name Ben, and he celebrated on the 2nd and turned 31, Dave Carbonu. Happy birthday from all you buddies here at the best podcast in the universe. And yes, then we have one knighting, of course. This is, I can get my blade there. This is for Billy. Blade.
Sorry, here it is.
Got it. All right, Billy Willems, come on up here on the podium right next to the lectern. Wow, man, you have got one fantastic partner in life, my friend. As she has brought you here to the round table of the No Agenda Knights and Dames, and I am very proud to pronounce-icate the Sir Turbo, Knight of the No Agenda Roundtable. For you, we have still stuff to fill in, but also hookers and blow, Red Boys and Chardonnay, crawfish and cane breaks, bourbon and bong rips, onion rings and ice cream, brown cheese and aquavit and smalahova, harlots and haldo, pepperoni rolls and pale ales, redheads and ryes, beers and blunts, bong hits and bourbon, vodka and vanilla, geishas and sake, sparkling cider and escorts, ginger ale and gerbils, and mutton and mead. It's a date night favorite. So head on over to noagendanation.com/rings. Give Eric the Shill your dimensions, your girth, and he'll get the ring off to you as soon as possible. Make sure you tweet something out when you're done. Really appreciate that. And thank you all for supporting the No Agenda show and our value for value model. The only way the show keeps on going, and of course, thanks to everybody who came in under $50, which they do for anonymity, but a lot of people signing up for our sustaining subscriptions, 1111s, 1212s, was a number of different ones, 33s, all very powerful numbers. Check them out at Dvorak.org/NA. Let me see. Yes, there's some movement, some stuff going on with Turkey and Germany, and it's not really being covered very well, but I got this report from...
Not at all.
Not at all, yes.
Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is in Germany meeting Chancellor Angela Merkel. The two countries have clashed over human rights and Turkey's economy, over which Mr. Erdogan has exercised increasing political control.
And also, the EU pays Erdogan to not let the refugees leave Turkey into Europe.
The BBC's Jenny Hill is covering the visit.
Central Berlin has been completely sealed off. I'm at a roadblock just around the corner from the Brandenburg Gate. There are police officers everywhere, bemused tourists at the cordon looking on at police armoured vehicles and rooftop snipers around the luxury Adlon Hotel, where a very controversial guest is staying. Recep Erdogan has come with high expectations. He wants to reset the relationship between Ankara and Berlin. It's strained, due in part to his penchant for jailing critics and journalists with German passports. So perhaps it's no wonder that few senior politicians will attend a state banquet due to be held in his honour at the presidential palace not far from here. Angela Merkel and many of her ministers won't be at the dinner. Mrs. Merkel, of course, will meet with him 3 times, in fact. Mr. Erdogan needs her help and support. His economy's struggling and he's fallen out with Donald Trump. But the relationship matters to her too. 3 million people of Turkish origin live in Germany. Many support him. Then there's a trading relationship. And a deal between Turkey and the EU has helped to reduce migration. Mr. Erdogan says he wants closer ties.
It's pretty interesting how they just gloss over that in this report. No,
yeah, it's a buyout.
I mean,
then there's a trading relationship. And a deal between Turkey and the EU has helped to reduce migration.
Now, the biggest... Let me just finish the report. Hold on.
Mr. Erdogan says he wants closer ties for what he says is the sake of prosperity and the future of both countries. Mrs. Merkel may agree with him, but given her own diminishing power and the contempt in which Mr. Erdogan is held by many here, her welcome will be a cautious one.
So what's the play here? I mean, is the lira still in a spiral? Is it just out of control?
It's stabilized low.
Okay, so they did stabilize.
But, you know, when you have when the currencies collapse like that, this is the opportunity for exporting because it means everything's cheap.
Very cheap. But what do they export? Drugs.
Well, they export some minerals, drugs. I know this for a fact. They have some of the best glass blowing factories and glass manufacturing in the world.
Oh, we need to take a trip.
And the funny thing is, I'll bet you we start to see it Cost Plus and some of these, Crate and Barrel. But
you're going to have all kinds of deals on, and
you see a lot of Turkish glassware.
Yes, and rugs.
You'll see it out of the blue.
Rugs.
Rugs. That's another thing they have lots of. That's for sure.
Yeah, rugs.
They could drain the country of its rugs.
I don't want to. I want to sound like a broken record, but again, the opportunity is just beckoning us, John. Glass and rugs.
I'd want to become an import-export guy or dealing with the Turks. They're very hard sell style. This really doesn't fit in with American taste.
Hookahs do.
Well, yeah, but I don't know what kind of a business that is.
Hookah bars. We got a couple in Austin.
Smoke.
Hookah bars are actual. That's a pretty popular thing now.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Do you have a hookah bar there in Austin?
I think we have 3.
You got, I don't know of one. There probably is one around here, but I don't know.
Yeah, there's in your neck of the woods. Yeah, there's tons of hookah bars.
Huh?
You should go and investigate.
I don't care to.
Okay.
I think they're pretentious. I think a hookah's pretentious.
Pretentious?
I mean, it's just a glorified bong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, I don't use a bong.
I use a hookah.
I use a hookah. We have imported it from Turkey.
Hey, Brexit. Now, whenever you really want to get something done or I would say in the 80s, 90s, a little bit of the 2000s, if you wanted to get something done, you brought in the big guns. So we really need to reconsider this Brexit thing. We got all kinds of problems. Who do you bring in? Who's the big gun in the UK if you really want to change hearts and minds?
Boris Johnson.
Close. Bob Geldof, of course. Sir Bob.
It's twofold. One is the income it generates for this country, 94 billion, bringing into the country. Contrast that with the NHS total spend of 115 billion, almost the same. This will be critically damaged. The second reason is cultural. The voice of Britain, the genuine global Britain voice, is our music. It has been since the Beatles, the greatest cultural influencers of the 20th century. No one knows quite why this tiny island produces such vast reservoirs of talent, but we do know that the entire planet dances, eats, sleeps, and plays hard to our noise. That's the sound of genuine global Britain, and that has been endangered by a recklessness which is existential and historically self-damaging.
So apparently, in order to save the national health care system, we need to stay within the EU so the almost equal amount of revenue that comes in from the music business can save all the sick people. Bullshit. What is wrong with him?
I don't know can't make heads or tails of this.
Precisely. I mean, how does this play? And I mean, what is he serious about yeah, we've had the Beatles. Thanks. It was great. You know, hey, Paul McCartney's here. You can have him back. I'm not so sure that that Britain has been all that important. I mean, yeah, we had an important wave in the 60s and 70s.
Well, I will say this.
Has he heard K-pop or not?
He probably has. But there's something that needs to be kind of discussed, I think, on a bigger, like on a global level.
Ooh.
Which is, you want to have all these, you want these for trade, for the purposes of trade and only trade. You want these big alliances, and then you can make better deals. But if you look at the history of Europe in particular, the littler countries, the small countries, the EU, the UK, and the islands there, and then you have Sweden. Individually, when they were kind of not isolated, but more isolated than they are today, Sweden used to have 2 aircraft manufacturing companies and 2 or 3 car companies and a truck company. I mean, they would have all these operations. Now they're all bought out by, because of globalism, they've been bought out by the Chinese and the Indians, and Saab, I think, has been the car company's been shuttered.
Yeah, done.
GM owned them for a while, and they couldn't make it work. Mm-hmm. And the Great Britain is the same way. They had Jaguar and Bentley and Rolls-Royce.
It's all BMW now, isn't it?
Well, they're owned by the BMW and Volkswagen. Yeah. I think Volkswagen owns Rolls-Royce, and BMW, I think, owns Bentley, or the other way around. But they don't own Rover. I think they're still maybe independent, but probably not. I mean, when these countries were by themselves and doing their own thing, they could do all these fabulous things, including the British invasion for the music scene, which Geldof kind of refers to.
Yes.
But now that they're all global, the global thing just takes all the life out of it.
Sucks the air out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So would somebody explain that to me?
Now, the only thing they have really that is global is their actors. They're actors. That is the engine of of Hollywood, because they add credibility to what's going on, to the drivel we're producing. So you got to have
we can suck up actors like there's no tomorrow. But in fact, a lot of the British actors, and many of the better ones, are really British, and they work on the stage, and they do a lot of stuff you'd see over there, you won't see over here necessarily. And when they come over here just for a shot at it, they
come over here to take our money and bang our women.
Well, there's that. But that's just an actor's thing.
That's just what they do.
The point is that what has globalism done that's positive except make bigger companies bigger? What has it done? What has it done for the people, or for the creativity of the masses?
Well, you know what? I think this is it. The globalism is right here. You're listening to it. You're connected to it. The internet is the only globalism I believe in. And it's not really all that healthy, what we're seeing.
Yeah, and if you even look at our numbers seriously, and you look at who listens to the show, it's still 85% USA, and then the rest of it's divided up between.
You've seen numbers?
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I do see numbers. I don't see numbers of people who are listening. I get numbers from the mailing list.
Ah, okay.
And I extrapolate.
Well, as I told you, when I was in Europe, last month, I realized, we really, our media diet, our news diet here is so deprived that, we wind up, and it spills over into all other countries. I mean, the headline news is what's going on here. It's Trump. I mean, this won't last. We used to do a lot more European news, but a lot of the European news is Trump.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty pathetic I will say, not to be insulting to any particular news show, that I have to get clips from Democracy Now!
Yeah, I know.
To get any sort of, and all she does is read the wires.
Yeah, I think you're single-handedly keeping them on the air with your viewership.
And it's like, but they still will report on stuff. I do have one last clip from them. I might as well get out of the way so we can wrap a little bit. But this is a Yemen update.
Ooh. Yes, something else rarely discussed.
Thursday's protest came as the head of a team of UN investigators accused Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates of interfering with his investigation. Kamel Jandoubi says all sides in Yemen's conflict have committed human rights abuses, with the U.S.-backed Saudi-led coalition responsible for war crimes, including widespread arbitrary detention, rape, torture, and the conscription of children as young as 8 years old.
Yeah, where's all the protests for that?
Well, there was a protest. That's what she was reporting on, but there was no reporting on the protest, because that's not what we want. Because it's not about Trump.
If there's no reporting on the protest, it didn't happen.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let me see if I just had some OTG notes I'd taken here. Oh yeah, this is. I've ordered the book. Jessica Powell. Have you ever run across her? She was. I think she was a big PR person at Google, and she wrote a book about how much bullshit is going on, and it's called The Big Disruption. Here, why I left my big fancy tech job and wrote a book, The Big Disruption. And she really highlights how they completely lost the plot, and all became savers of the world. Like, everything we do will just be to save the world, make the world a better place. We are the superheroes. It's the excerpts that she's posted on Medium seem pretty revealing. Very excited about reading this. Yeah, it's why I left my big fancy tech job and wrote a book, The Big Disruption. So I guess that's the title of the book. Jessica Powell. Facebook, which I have not been on since March.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, you should be. I'm proud of me. I feel much better too.
I bet you do.
So they had a 50 million user breach, and apparently they still can't reset all of the access tokens. And this is the big problem, is because this people use the FaceBag sign-in whenever they're on a website. Oh, just log in with the Facebook. Okay, you can. Usually it's Facebook or Google, or hopefully they have an option to register with your own email address, which has its own complications and issues.
Yeah, that's more common now. I mean, I remember like 3 years ago where it was
you couldn't sign in with
Facebook. That was it.
Yeah.
I'm not logging in with Facebook. I don't even have an account.
So that access token, which has been compromised for, I think, the majority or all of these 50 million users, I wouldn't know. Someone may have reactivated my account, and maybe Adam Curry, who knows? I haven't looked, but it also gives you access to all other sites that you use the login for, and this is also not really being covered. I mean, it's just kind of like in a breath, but I think it's much more serious than your typical something happened. I mean, people have actual complete access tokens, authenticated login to all the sites that you log in with Facebook. Hey.
Well, I would be. My opinion is if you would take that route and use Facebook for your logins, everything else, you deserve what you get.
Yes,
I'm callous.
Oh, I know what I had. The Alcatel Flip Phone Go.
Yeah,
has been on and is now at the very end of its battery since last Sunday.
Wow,
and connected.
Really?
Now, I have not used it. It's only been in standby mode, but it was standby for 7 days.
It'll take a call.
Yeah, it'll still take a call.
Huh?
Yeah, but it's down to the wire. I mean, the battery icon is pretty much empty, but it's still dialing. Yeah, it's working. Isn't that amazing? And by the way,
that's the way it used to be with these phones.
Yeah, every single time I mention a phone, I was like, it's like $39 on Amazon. Right after that, it's $59, it's $69. I am single-handedly raising the price of the Alcatel Flip Phone Go.
Should have a newsletter.
I should have a newsletter.
Put it in this newsletter, our newsletter, and they get a quick shot at it.
Oh, okay. So I'll relist some of my faves for the OTG lifestyle.
Yeah. With a little segment. We'll put it in there.
Yes, excellent. Did you upgrade your Windows? I found out that's a bad idea.
To what?
Oh, they have their new release. Their half-year release came out.
No, I didn't.
Their update.
I didn't notice.
Oh yeah, and immediately they had to pull it.
No, I didn't get one.
Yeah, you probably didn't get one because you probably have your update set to off like you should.
Generally, I do, and then they don't do them all at once.
Yeah, it's 1809, and they had to pull it because apparently some users were witnessing all their files being deleted. Oops.
Oh, nice.
Oh my goodness, that's not nice. Following up on our tracking of Tesla stock, in this case, based on fundamentals, such as the CEO is nuts. So we think it's going to be a perfect January 200 short. This is not advice. We're not in it, but it comes to us from the former New York banker. But there was interesting article someone sent me about why, and so part of his theory, which I think we both agree with, is he has the number one selling sedan, and there's only really two other sedans that you can purchase right now: the Impala and the Charger. And after this, these are all the fans. After this, there's not going to be any demand. And there's a number of theories about why people are buying SUVs and not buying sedans anymore. And subsequently, they're not being made. And one of the premier reasons seems to be the number of child safety seats you can get in the back, which would really be exactly two. And so these cars are just no longer big enough for your typical family. Now, when I read this, I thought, yeah, maybe, but seeing the way things
explain the dog phenomenon.
Well, this is exactly my point. I think SUVs, people have them because they're moving from babies to dogs, and the SUV you have the rear, the fifth door opener, so the dog can bound in or bound out. It's the way the commercial works. Hey, Fido. Click, click, poof, up goes.
There's room in the back.
Yeah, and the dog gets in the back. That's why
there's no trunk. It's actually the trunk is up in the car.
Yes, and that's where you put the doggy basket and his toys and his blankie and all the stuff. I think that is the main reason.
I like the theory.
It seems doable.
Yeah, that would account for the minivans too.
Totally. The minivans actually are hot because of the price, because they're just so shit. The SUV.
We've had, I think we've gone through 10 of these things.
Yeah, exactly. They're shit. They break.
No, they're not. We had one minivan.
Wouldn't one just be enough if they were great?
We still have. Well, after a while, it's like you want something newer.
You said you had 10 of them.
We probably had 4 or 5.
Okay,
but. We had one that was 360,000 miles are put on that thing.
Whoa.
Still runs like a truck.
Now do that in your draw.
And they're very smooth riding.
Do that in your draw.
It's a fantastic invention. Unfortunately, only Chrysler seems to make the product right.
Yeah,
but now Chrysler got this. Now I got to tell you this story. Chrysler got sidetracked. So Mimi's got this Chrysler Town and Country. It's a fairly new car. It's fantastic. It's got radar. When you're driving along, if there's a car nearby, beep, 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 beep. You get a little noise so that you don't turn into somebody. It's got all these features, cameras, radar.
John, I know that you're driving around in a 23-year-old Lexus, but this is kind of what people have these days. So, I mean, if you're surprised by it.
Okay, well, here's what I'm surprised by. So the battery starts going dead, and the computer decides that the car now really needs to be either taken in for a new battery or something. It's not going to. First of all, it's not going to start. It's not going to give you any. It's going to start beeping if you try to do anything, and if you try to disable the beeping and beeping and beeping, by like for example, sticking your key into the ignition.
Yeah.
A clamp inside the ignition locks the key down.
Oh, nice. Shunk.
So you can't get the key out. And so there's this rigmarole she goes through.
Oh.
She's explaining it to me. The key won't come out. You need to do this. And the keys are coordinated. So if one key doesn't work, none of them work. You can't open the doors. You can't do anything. And so she finally gets the thing after a couple of days of misery, gets the thing so it is going to get the new battery. Everything's ready to go. The key comes out. Everything's ready. Tries to start it. It asks for her PIN number.
Which, of course, she never recalled ever creating.
No, it's a used car. So the original owner's PIN number.
Did she do?
We don't have it. It's not on the pink slip. It's not on the register. It's nowhere to be found. The company doesn't have it. The dealer doesn't know what it is. So you have this PIN number that shows. Why in the world does a car, any car being made today, require a PIN number for you to start your own damn car?
Did you try 0000?
They tried everything.
Well, this reminds me.
This is ridiculous, this kind of thing. And this is what they're doing. The Glock. I mean, this is a minivan. Who's going to steal a minivan?
Hey, man, chicks dig that shit, bro. This reminds me of Elise, who has a Prius, but which she has an 80. Not 80. A 94 Prius, I believe, almost 300,000 miles, original battery. I'm very impressed with this vehicle, except when she had it here in the garage, when she was staying here during the summer, there's a smaller battery which activates the systems. You can't just flip on this huge battery and have it power everything. No, that comes from a very almost like a motorcycle battery, which is in the back of the car. Now, when that's not functioning, then you can't open up, nothing works. The clicker doesn't work, the remote. But you take the little key out of the key fob and then, you can open the door. But the battery is in a compartment in the back of the car, which you can get to if the trunk is open, but the trunk has no keyhole that can only be activated by the remote switch, which of course doesn't work because the batteries. But you can climb over the seat. If your arm is long enough, you can go. You're blind. You do this blind. You have to watch YouTube videos, and then you can kind of hook your arm under, and there's a little wire. And if you're lucky, you can flip that and then click. Then the boot will open or the trunk will open. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's total insanity how some of these things are thought out.
Yeah, well,
but not quite like the
older
PIN
cars.
number.
Mechanical cars are the best cars.
Yeah. Well, keep that Lexus running, boy, I'll tell you.
It runs like a top.
Yeah.
It's 25 years old.
Runs like a top.
It runs like a top.
Speaking of tops, I got no way to make the transition, but it's not going too well with our top director. There it is. Ben Affleck. And I didn't know this about Ben, but he has an alcoholism problem.
This morning, a Hollywood A-lister is seeking help. Ben Affleck confirmed to be back in rehab following struggles with alcohol addiction. A source close to Affleck saying, quote, "One crucial aspect of Ben's recovery is for him to be able to seek help when he feels as though he is not in control, when his ongoing treatment and meetings with sober coaches aren't quite enough."
Holy crap. If he's at that stage where his meetings and his coaches are not enough, he needs someone to physically stop him, I think. This is a serious problem. And this is apparently the third time he's been in rehab. I didn't know anything about this.
Adding, the best case scenario is for him to seek help, which he has done willingly. And for that, we are all very grateful and hopeful. In a decorated career full of Hollywood blockbusters, Affleck's next role, getting healthy.
Steph, as you mentioned, Ben Affleck has been in rehab before. Has he talked about his battle with addiction?
The last time he got out in March 2017, and he was very open about it on his Facebook page. He wrote, "I have completed treatment for alcohol addiction, something I've dealt with in the past and will continue to confront." He wrote, "I want to live life to the fullest and be the best father I can be. I want my kids to know there is no shame in getting help when you need it." And it sounds like he needs it again, guys.
So this was just your typical Hollywood story, and they kind of fluff over it. The guy has a serious, serious addiction problem. And what I'm missing from this network broadcast, I believe it's the Today Show, and this used to happen when you did a story like this, and now they just turned into this slow, well, he's seeking help. Oh, we're all pulling for you, Ben. Meanwhile, in finance, they don't give a shit about him. But they used to say things like, hey, if you think that you have a problem with alcohol or you may be battling some demons, here's a number to call or here's a website to go to. Why doesn't that happen anymore? Why has it just been turned into this Hollywood goo story where it's an actual opportunity? People may be thinking about themselves.
Oh, you make a good point.
Not that I have any number ready for you while doing this segment. But, maybe someone will now think about it. They didn't even mention that. Hey, there's lots of places you can go if you think you have a problem. In fact, I think most of our listeners have an alcohol problem.
No, they don't.
Have you ever seen Chris Wilson from Australia?
Well, he's all Australians do.
I'm sorry.
Common.
What am I thinking?
Crazy.
What am I thinking? Instead, we don't like to drink alcohol here on the No Agenda Show. No, we like to drink cockroach insecticide.
LaCroix's parent company is being sued for allegedly using the cockroach insecticide linalool as an ingredient in their beverages. The sparkling water brand says they use all natural ingredients, but customer Lenore Rice claims otherwise. CBS Philadelphia reports Rice had the drink tested, revealing it contains synthetic ingredients as identified by the Food and Drug Administration. According to the claim, some of the other chemicals include limonene, which is known to cause kidney toxicity, and linalool propionate, a chemical used to treat cancer. The lawsuit claims that LaCroix makers are aware of the alleged unnatural ingredients. However, in a statement, LaCroix's parent company Natural Beverages denied the allegations, saying all essences contained in LaCroix are certified by our suppliers to be 100% natural.
This is just a hit piece.
Yeah? How does
LaCroix is a problem for a lot of these beverage makers.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's the number, it's the kind of millennial
drink of choice. It's the hipster water. Absolutely.
It's the hipster water.
Mm-hmm.
And they're selling by the tons. They don't know what to do about it.
How does it get in there?
I don't know that it is. It could be bull crap. I'd like to see some documentation for this accusation.
Yeah. That was the first thing I thought.
Doubt this story is true.
Yeah, it was the first thing I thought as well. But also, it has to be resolved pretty quickly because this is elite water. Elitists drink this water. And
you can get the LaCroix plain, no flavored.
Oh, okay.
Kind of get through this horrible moment.
Because
the one that seems to be the most popular is the grapefruit.
Honestly, I've never had the ones with the flavor.
The grapefruit is remarkably good.
You've had some cockroach insecticide?
Apparently. Maybe that's why there's no cockroaches crawling all over me.
Well, I think the problem is if this cockroach insecticide is really in there, the elites, who of course are reptiles, are having an issue with it. So they have to get this.
Maybe that's in there for a reason.
Yes, exactly.
It could be to kill the reptiles amongst us.
All right, let's do one more, John. Get us out of here.
I got one that's from I like to play because it's so funny.
Okay,
this is and it's not depressing like the ones I have left over. It's from the last show, and you have to look it up. It's called Stitch Fix, and Stitch Fix is a company that they were profiling on one of the business, Bloomberg News, I believe. And this girl, I'm listening to this, and it's like a CEO or the spokesperson. It's just a dimwit that says really, 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 really all the time. And it's just, to me, is like the high tech is another indicator to me that the whole thing's about to collapse.
At first glance, Stitch Fix is a fashion company, but it seems that it's actually more of a data company. You really use data science to do a tremendous amount. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, data is the new bacon.
Absolutely. So on the surface, we're a personal styling company. Mm-hmm. So a client signs up and lets us know her general size and style preferences, and she'll schedule a date to get a Stitch Fix. And that Stitch Fix is curated by a real human stylist, but the data is a really, really important part of what we do. And so our stylist, when she's making selections for you, she has at her fingertips world-class algorithms that were developed by our 40-plus data engineers and a team that's led by the guy who used to run all of algorithms and analytics at Netflix. And what they're able to do is to generate really, really great recommendations so that when a stylist is making selections for you, she can do so with really great data, knowing that this shift dress is going to be great for somebody with your shape. Or she may choose to send you something that the algorithm wouldn't have known to send you you because you let her know I'm going to Hawaii next week. And that's information that she can interpret differently.
And it's like Pandora in that it learns what you like and
absolutely
and suggests based on.
Exactly. And there's a lot of interesting analogies to Pandora. And so when a client is signing up and letting us know their preferences, that's kind of like the client side of it. On the product side, we gather data on every single attribute of all of the clothing that we bring in. So we know that at the end of the day, it's not necessarily fabrication or color that is the most important attribute. It's actually how is it going to fit on people of different body shapes and how is it going to work with people who have different styles. So all of that we code up front the same way somebody at Pandora, a music expert in Pandora, would code music.
Stop the hammering!
My goodness. Yeah, take it. Last, I can't believe it. I don't think that's ever happened that you got a clip of the day at the end of the show. No, I think it's well deserved. It was perfect way.
Did I find a chatterbox who says really, really all the time?
No, you showed us the actual tipping point, the nexus of when the tech industry started to implode upon itself.
Yeah.
It's like WTC 7.
It's pretty pathetic.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Hey, good job. I'm depressed about tech now.
Good. It's about time.
Go play with my shitty 1809 install on Windows. I got translucent boxes on my screen.
Huh.
It's a long story. All right, everybody.
Sounds like a fix is in.
Yeah, there's a fix is coming for sure. That's it for this episode of the best podcast in the universe, Your No Agenda Show. A value for value model where we've built a network over the past 11 years where everybody gets out what they put into it, and we're proud of it. And I'm coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, here, FEMA Region 6 on the governmental maps, in the 5x9 Cludio, in the common law condo. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. Until then, adios, mofos!
Space Force!
Donate to a No Agenda. They give us shows week after week. Donate to a No Agenda. It's a show that's really unique. Donate to a No Agenda. Listen to John and Adam speak. Donate to a No Agenda. Science is turning into a clique.
I don't know if anybody is listening to the Dr. Blasey Ford testimony about Brett Kavanaugh, but this is how I sound.
Level 2, exercise increased caution.
Level 2, exercise increased caution. More American households have pets than children.
I think a good part of the American public would just as soon be part of a global government that's run by somebody in Brussels.
Exercise increased caution.
I know it's a surprise to even me that I talk this way, and I'm a doctor and a grown woman. I sound like I'm still back at that high school party.
A child in the U.S. is more likely to have a pet than a live-in father. That is sad.
They just as soon as be a big global, happy-go-lucky, world-governed thing, and we're all going to be fine for it.
That is sad.
Half of Great Britain thinks it's fine to let the Belgians tell us what to do.
Woohoo! Every country's going downhill.
I can't help it. I just have this kind of a voice, like a baby, even though I'm a doctor and I'm on this media circus.
Well, we knew that.
I think a good part of the American public would just as soon be part of a global government that's run by somebody in Brussels. But I'm an old fart, apparently.
I think most of those people have disengaged. They just disengage and they just someone else take care of it, and they really don't care. More American households have pets than children.
It's true. Dogs like SUVs.
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Hey, yo, if you're still listening to the stream on the No Agenda Show stream, NoAgendaShowStream.com, we have queued up for you, Who Are These Podcasts? Episode 123, Killers, Cults, and Nut Jobs. Enjoy.
You're listening to NoAgendaStream.com. All talk, no commercials, no agenda.